All right, class. Welcome to the very first day, unfortunately online, of CJUS417. This is domestic violence. Uh, we had to adapt some things. If you guys haven't already been notified, we're going to do the this course entirely online. I promise you, it won't be boring. You should be able to follow along just fine. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Detective Brian Money. I work with the Riverside Police Department. Been there for a while now, creeping up to about 28 years. I work major investigations. My specialty is specifically, um, I guess, what you could call elder abuse and major fraud, things like that. But I work a lot of different units. I work in the homicide unit. So we get a lot of cases that kind of marry up to those. So I've been teaching domestic violence at the Riverside Sheriff's Academy for about 21 years. I think I have the subject down pretty well. It's something that's very near and dear to me. We lose a lot of police officers to this, and we lose a ton of citizens. So, as dangerous as it is for police officers, it's about 10 times as dangerous for our victims and the victims' families and such. So we'll be doing this course primarily online. The format will be very easy. Each week I'll send you out a video with different projects and such for you to complete. The good thing is generally it will be asynchronous. What that means is that you could kind of do this on your own at your own pace. You're not going to be committed to a specific date and time show up. Okay? So until this new variant of the COVID is suppressed a bit more, I think this is just basically the best way to carry on. And you guys know you can email me. I respond to those fairly quickly. So anyhow, first thing I wanted to go over was the course syllabus for domestic violence. I'll be sending this syllabus to you in your email with instructions. It'll go over like the different grading scales and such, which are pretty basic, pretty simple. The essay, you will have an essay in this class. It's 15% of your grade. I want you guys to actually put some effort into that. So that's going to be an important part of your grade. The quizzes, which will generally have one a week, uh, is about 10% of your grade. Though generally around 10 questions, stuff that we've covered in the lecture, and maybe some of the projects and such. For those of you who've taken my classes before, you know that my quizzes and tests are not difficult. I want you to understand the concepts. That's most important to me. Okay? We will have case studies and projects. I try to do those each class. This is how I'm going to generate your participation, basically. As well, it's a significant part of your grade. It's 30%. So these projects are going to be important for you to complete, and they're obviously they're not going to be group projects. Even though if you have friends, you could certainly join in with them and do those. But most of these are going to be things we could do ourselves. Okay. The test, the actual test, which we'll take after a few quizzes each, we'll have two tests and a final. The tests are worth 25% of your grade. The final is 10% of your grade. And I've marked attendance slash timeliness. Now, obviously, attendance in an asynchronous class is going to be a thing, but timeliness will be. You'll need to make sure you have these assignments back to me at a specific time, and I'll basically tell you what that is. If you send the project to me a couple hours late, a day late, you'll get marked off for that. Okay, so we're not asking for a lot, but I want you guys to turn this work into me on time. Okay, and then general grading scale, 90 to 100% is an A, 80 to 90 or 89% is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, 59 and under is an F. I have very, very, very few Fs. So unless you just decide you're not even going to try, I couldn't imagine you doing anything to get yourself a C or below. The one thing, obviously, we have a discrimination and harassment policy. That's in the course syllabus. I'd like you guys to read that over. The mask requirements and wellness statement won't be so much of an issue because we will be doing this completely online. Again, I don't want you guys to be disheartened by that because I love to teach in person. However, we had a lot of students that petitioned basically to have online only, and I think that along with this most recent variant of COVID, it's going to be the best way to progress. That way we don't have any dramatic change in the course, the way it's structured and such. Another thing that you are going to get is a class schedule. Basically tells you more or less what we're going to be doing every class. So it could change a little bit. Things could change a tad. I could add a project. I could take one away. But this will let you know when quizzes and tests are. So that'll be attached to your email. And the last thing that'll be attached to your email is your grade report. This is a simple sheet that I send you guys, and it makes you responsible for your grade. It makes you basically take note of how you're doing, how you did on the quizzes, how you did on the projects. If you turn in a project, as long as it's acceptable work, then you get the full points for that. But I want you guys to pay attention to what your grade is. I don't want you to basically rely on me to tell you what your grade is apart from how you did on the quizzes or test. Okay? So you will get that, and I will also have I will have the identical sheet that I keep track of your grades with as well. Okay? Again, realizing that this is an online class, I'm sorry guys, but I think it's, again, the best way to proceed. As far as domestic violence goes, and your very first project is going to be a short paragraph on what you think domestic violence is. I don't want you to research it. I don't want you to look it up. I want you to tell me what you think domestic violence is in a paragraph. Doesn't have to be any specific format. And then I want you guys to submit that to me before the following week, and I'll give you the exact due date and time. Okay. Our book, I try to keep it cheap for you guys. I hate to say it that way, but I realize college could be a challenge financially. So I got a textbook that's, we may end up having an animal show up here pretty soon. I don't know. They're walking around. This is the textbook. We'll try to get you a better copy of the cover. But it's Domestic Violence Response by Randy Latham. This is specific to the state of California, which is what I'll be teaching in this course. The laws nationally are very similar. So every state has similar laws to California that are similar to Utah, Arizona, so on and so forth. And we'll talk a little bit about that, this kind of a national unity of domestic violence response, specifically as it applies to like court orders and things like that. But anyhow, it's a pretty good book, and it has all the material we need, and it's relatively inexpensive. So I need you guys to get this book as soon as you can. I actually sent you all out an email asking that you get this book. I think I sent it out yesterday or the day before. But I want you guys to get this book as soon as you can, because you're going to start getting test and quiz questions on it. So if you don't have it, you're gonna struggle a bit. Okay. So as far as domestic violence goes, without giving you guys too much material to write in your paragraph, I want you to consider two words: power and control. That really is how we summarize domestic violence. In a healthy relationship is built by mutual respect and welfare. We're partners. We respect each other equally as partners. In a domestic violence relationship, apart from the physical violence and the threats of violence, we also may have a lot of intimidation and blaming, and a person just treating another person badly. And most often that can be caused by power and control, or the need to have power and control of another person in a relationship. And certainly that's not healthy. So these are things we're going to look at when we're doing domestic violence relationship investigations. Another thing I do want to warn the class about, and it's happened in the past, consider your own emotions. What I mean by that is maybe some of the students in class may have experienced domestic violence, or may have been children in a home of domestic violence. I realize that some of the stuff I'm talking about could bring back some memories. If that's the case, it's okay to reach out to me and let me know. I certainly don't want to do anything to shock anyone. However, we're going to try to be honest and forthright in this class, okay? Domestic violence in the United States, we tend to hear, through the news, whatever media, sometimes you hear a lot of kind of, I don't know what you would call it. I've been a cop a long time, but almost bad mouthing of our laws here in this country, and certainly we create an environment that allows people to be vocal about that. The one thing I'll tell you about domestic violence, the United States has some of the strongest laws to help prevent domestic violence in the world. There are some countries, very progressive countries, that literally don't have domestic violence laws. Not really. I'll throw it out there. I'd probably get in trouble, but Japan. Japan doesn't necessarily have criminal domestic violence laws. They look at it more as a civil issue, and they treat it as such. We here in the United States, we look at it a little bit differently. We say, hey, no one should be able to hurt another person physically. Emotionally is bad, but we're talking about actual physical violence or threats of violence. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and really that's mainly what I want to get across to you guys. I wish I could teach this class in person. I would love to do that, but I think to be consistent with the course, we'll do it this way. You guys will have my email address. You can shoot me an email anytime. I tend to respond to those very quickly. If you have any concerns, any questions about some of the material we went over, I want you guys to shoot me an email. I will sometimes sit up at night late and answer emails that come to me that late. So that's not an issue. I want the class to be something that's educational for you guys. I could tell you this, that in the past I've had many students have come to me afterwards and have told me that they were able to kind of work through a problem through their family or even personally because of the stuff we've covered in the course. And certainly education is going to be a big thing to help try to deter and prevent domestic violence in households. So that's it at this point. We will have more lecture on each topic. So the one thing you have to submit to me by next class, and again, I'll give you the exact time and date, due date, is just one paragraph, a simple paragraph on what you think domestic violence is. Doesn't have to be right or wrong. We're going to use that and measure it toward the end of the class and see if your answer has changed a bit. Okay? So everyone stay safe, and hopefully we'll get through this quarter with little to no significant problems. Okay? Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.